ridding our lives of all we've gathered, trying to pretend it doesn't matter, but it does. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And we're out on the road once again, stretching forth our hands, reaching for a friend, wondering if this trail will ever end, as we're looking for America again. Yes, we're looking for America again.
We are Steve and Michelle. Corporately, we comprise those adventurous alts. We've been touring in the western United States, certain portion of it, and we just completed our tour of New Mexico, and we'd like to share a little bit of what happened in New Mexico.
We got to New Mexico and through Oklahoma, and we got there. It was around 12:30 by the time we found a place to stop. And in New Mexico, you're allowed to sleep at rest areas, unlike in Ohio where we're from. So we pulled off on a rest area we found, and it was the site of the old Fort Union fort we found out the next morning. It was noisy for our first boondocking time, but hey, couldn't beat the price.
We left the roadside rest early in the morning because we had to meet with my sister, her husband, and her son at a McDonald's in Santa Fe. And I have never in my life had trouble finding a McDonald's. You just look for the golden arches and there you are, right? Well, in Santa Fe, I had trouble finding a particular McDonald's where my sister and her husband were supposed to meet us, and we had, after several phone calls and several different McDonald's, we finally found the one that they were at and were able to spend some time with them. And it was so great to be able to spend time with my sister and her husband and her son.
We went to Bandelier National Monument on the recommendation of George, Ceresa's husband's recommendation, and we are really glad we did. We had to park the car and camper in a town. I'm not sure of the town at this point. I've forgotten. And we took a free shuttle from the town into Bandelier. And it was about 12 miles one way, so it was a nice ride. But Bandelier is an awesome monument to the Puebloan Indians. Olivia and I climbed up several ladders to see into the cliff dwellings and everything. We did a lot of hiking. It was extremely hot, and I think it was like 2.5 miles was our hike that day around the canyon with all the cave dwellings in it. In the town of Abiquiu, there was a very old mission church that we couldn't go in, but it was beautiful. And right next to, well, 2 doors down from it was an antique shop. And they had Navajo rugs and actually antiques from all over the world, not just New Mexico. It was very worthwhile going. It was called Boss Bank Antiques, I think.
Yeah.
Or Boss Hard Antiques. Also in the town of Abiquiu, there really isn't that much there. have a library that is packed with local history and everything, so it's worth your while to go in and see. You have Bode's, Bodes, gas station, and they have a little market attached to it where we got green chili burritos and just loved them. In fact, we ate there twice. We enjoyed the food so much. Also in Abiquiu, there is a ice cream store, a barbecue place, and the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum. We did not go to the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum. I didn't think that our granddaughter would enjoy it that much, so we didn't go. And there was also a Dollar General, and that's about it.
We traveled from Abiquiu to Lake Cochiti, which is right outside of another Indian reservation. The first thing that I noticed was that they had a human barricade that were blocking entrance into the town itself. The COVID pandemic had put such fear in them that they didn't want anybody outside of their villagers to enter the village itself. Lake Cochiti is a Corps of Engineers camp, and it's right outside of the village and right outside of the reservation. A very beautiful campsite, and I would very highly recommend it.
Lake Cochiti, we were in the Juniper Loop, which is the older section of camp sites, and we had no problem. We were at two different campsites. Both of them were quite level. They both had, well, one of them had a covered pavilion, the other one didn't. So if you check in there, you might want to check if you eat out outside a lot. The restrooms that were closest to our campground loop were closed, so we had to walk quite a while to use the restroom. And that restroom had the toilets, flush toilets, and showers, but the sinks didn't work. We ended up using it just to use the restroom, and then in the morning or at night when we would take our showers, we would run down to the bottom of the hill at the newer campgrounds, and they had two brand new restrooms and shower houses that were very nicely done. So, and that loop near the newer shower house, Elk Run loop, had both water and electric. So that was a very nice loop to be in, but there wasn't that much shade. And it was very crowded and not much privacy between the sites. Our site up above on top of the hill or mountain was very private, very shaded, and we enjoyed it. Even though we did have water. Did we have electric? We had electric. Yeah, we had water and electric. No, we didn't have water. We just had electric. But water was not that far to get.
One of the side trips that we took from Lake Cochiti was to the city of Santa Fe in New Mexico. And you may or may not be aware, but Santa Fe is known as the sister city of St. Augustine in Florida. Santa Fe contains the oldest mission church still in existence and still in operation in the United States. We went to see it, and we also saw the oldest house in the United States, which was built in the 1600s, which was very interesting. Santa Fe was a fascinating place, and if you ever go to New Mexico, ever visit, I would highly recommend that you take the time to visit Santa Fe.
Along with the oldest church and oldest house, we also visited lots of little shops along the way, and we had a delicious lunch at a Mexican restaurant, and I do not recall the name of it. And can't find it on Google for some reason, but it was on East Palace Street near the Governor's Palace. The Governor's Palace, because of COVID, you were not allowed to go in, but there were all kinds of vendors in front of the Governor's Palace with Native American crafts and everything. And we also toured the State House, and the State House was full of art and native crafts and everything, which were very interesting to see.
Ben, one of our day trips was to Los Alamos while we were in Lake Cochiti. We did a walking tour. We went to a science museum. We learned about the bombing of
Hiroshima
and
Nagasaki.
But and then we also got to tour like something that used to be like a boys' school, and we went also into, I'm trying to think what that was. Well, I mean, we walked by where the girls like slept for
The waves.
the waves.
Yes. And what are waves? Women's
They're the Women's Army
Corps.
Mm-hmm. In the Science Museum, we got to see a lot of cool things, such as the Fat Boy, which is a bomb that they dropped on
Japan.
And then Little Boy,
Little Man.
Which they dropped on
Nagasaki.
Japan also.
Yeah, Japan also. We got to see two 15-minute videos, which were very interesting. One was about the bombing, and the other one was about, I'm pretty sure, like the scientists building the bomb and nuclear reactions. I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Start.
Okay. So another thing in Los Alamos, when they were building the bomb, it was super secretive. So they had to have identification badges. Even kids did. Like when they turned, I think what the guy said, around 5, they got like their own little badge. And to get in the town, you had to have one of those identification badges, or else they wouldn't allow you in, since the bomb was being built.
3.
One thing that I thought was very interesting about going to Los Alamos was the road to Los Alamos. You had to go through numerous switchbacks, and it went right up the side of a mountain, and it was literally hundreds, if not thousands of feet down, straight down from the roadside. So one missed turn and you could be suspended in air for quite some time, but the crash, I'm sure, would be horrendous.
Upon leaving Lake Cochiti, we went to the Jemez historical site on the Jemez Indian Reservation. Before I talk about that, I should say though that there were lots of things we had planned to do, such as go to Chaco Canyon and several other places, but they were all closed, either due to COVID and the Indians not allowing anybody other than tribal leaders on the grounds, or due to the Santa Fe wildfires that were going on. Well, you know what? Stop. Go, Olivia.
Here, let me see it.